and then you were gone.
Okay, I didn't, I just was there meeting out.
Yeah, at the end they came to me because I don't know, I didn't see it normally.
Well, he was walking all
Yeah,
over.
well, I do anyway.
I'm gonna come sit over here.
Shall we start? Well, anyway, this is a official workshop of the town board to talk about some financial issues, since we have so many challenges this year. This workshop was advertised as required, and I have the proof of publication from the town clerk. It's a workshop, so we won't do pledge of allegiance or anything, but Jim Rawley, our budget officer, is here, and he's got some handouts and which he wants to discuss with us. So, Jim, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I feel bad the other two board members are here because some of my comments, are certainly geared towards addressing maybe some of their issues that they had. But anyway, I have a brief presentation this morning, and what I want to try to do is give you the big picture. Where the town is fiscally, where I think it's going, and what at least I've tried to espouse over the last couple of years, what the strategy should be to put Cicero in a better place fiscally.
Is it hard to hear?
Excuse me, should I get a mic? Or is it not
No.
necessary?
No.
Okay.
There you go,
Excuse me, that is if I just,
So-
it is hard to hear.
So with that, how I wanted to start this year is I wanted to take 1 minute to review my background. And it really was I wanted it for your benefit as well as Mike's and Mr. Cushman's. Because, the way the process, at least in my judgment, broke down last year, I sort of scratched my head and I thought, well, maybe I have a credibility problem. I just want to make sure that you guys know where I'm coming from when I sort of put suggestions out there. After my spiel, if you still believe that I'm not hitting the mark, I'm not bringing value to this whole position or this process, by all means, I'm more than happy to walk away. I have other things I could do. But I defer to the supervisor and what she wants me to do. There's two things that I can leave with you, though, after my spiel, if nothing else. Two concepts that I really sort of want to hit home. The earlier you address the fiscal challenges that at least I see coming up, the better off you're going to be. And that when you look at the budget, look at it in a multi-year fashion. I think especially in Cicero, just to go from year to year and to, have a big process and then a sigh of relief because it's over and then don't have to worry about it for next year, I think is the wrong approach. I think this year's budget should be looked at in context of what future budgets might look like. Okay? So, that said, personally, you should know that I have a bachelor's degree in accounting from Clarkson. I have an MBA from Syracuse University. I have my permanent certificate and my license to be a school business administrator from Brockport University. I'm a certified management accountant, and I passed the CPA exam. In the private sector, before I started my public sector role, I worked in various industries: construction, manufacturing, software, the service industry, in roles from cost accountant to chief financial officer, in companies from Welch Allen to Crucible Steel. I was a former supervisor of the town of Clay, and I was the architect of the police consolidation effort there. And I don't want to go into the issues, how that. And
Yeah, that's not an issue.
No. But you should know that I did build the fiscal justification for it. I sold it to the board, and I sold it to the public. And when we went to the public, it was very, very, very difficult. It was a public hearing with probably 400 to 500 people, and it wasn't pretty. But again, I think it was the best thing for the town at the time for a number of reasons, not just fiscal. And then starting in 2008, and for the ensuing 4 years, I was the chief fiscal officer for Onondaga County. I had responsibility or oversight responsibility for a $1.1 billion budget. And remember, when I started that there, it was at the height of the financial crisis and the ensuing aftermath. We had to do a number of things to sort of, at least in my judgment, stabilize the fiscal picture for Onondaga County, not the least of which was the renegotiated sales tax sharing agreement that hurt the towns pretty significantly.
Okay, so he's the culprit.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm raising my hand. Understand, though, that at the county level, if we had not done that, if the legislators have not voted for it, if the county executive wasn't behind it, your county taxes would have been significantly higher than what they are today, at least in the general fund.
Jim, I have a question about, everyone says that agreement. Who was the agreement with?
It was between the
town?
the county, the towns, the school districts.
And did the towns did each individual town actually sign that agreement, or was it just an agreement with,
It was
here it is?
Right, no,
Because everyone says agreement, I said, well, who's the agreement with?
well, right, it was a law passed by the legislature. So, the towns were in favor of it. I mean, it was
Right,
pretty
there was
clear.
no agreement.
And now that I'm out of the county and back in the town,
Now you know.
it stinks. I don't know who the hell did it, but not a good thing.
We
Yeah.
can't even, my understanding is we can't even revisit that
For 10
For
years.
10 years.
for 10 years.
Right.
So I understand, if I was with the county, I certainly
Oh, no.
understand with
Right.
unfunded mandates, I've
Right.
looked at their budget,
Right.
and Antonacci,
Right.
but we're crippled here.
No, I completely understand. But I just,
So-
the point of saying that is, because there's a reason, method to my madness here. I want to sort of, set the table for what the town should be
I
doing.
Okay, I just want to ask a technical question. So there's a 10-year agreement, this is passed by resolution or county law or
Right,
something,
right,
right? So that could be changed, right?
I guess anything is possible. I don't.
Well, it's like revoking a local law or changing a local law, right? Right?
Yeah, I think anything's possible from a legal perspective, sure. Again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal guy. I'm not
No,
an
I've been asking this question, well, who's the agreement with,
Right.
So it was actually local law.
Right.
Or county law, whatever.
Right. So,
Is that right, John?
Yes, but there are side agreements with the villages, the
Villages,
churches, so you can't just change the law and not have those other components considered.
yeah, there's something special with the villages in terms of,
But you can amend the law with the towns. You could, if we could get support for that, right?
To be a realist, I think it's not going to happen until the agreement comes up, that's our 10-year anniversary.
Okay,
I agree.
I understand that, but I'm just talking about technically here.
Technically, yes.
Okay.
okay. So anyway, there was a reason why the county pursued that agreement, because they saw headwinds come in and they made, at least in my judgment, the right decision. And I think Cicero should act, in a similar fashion. So now I'm the assistant superintendent for United City Schools, and I'll let you in on a secret, but it's not really a secret because it's all public knowledge. We've been in deficit for the last 3 years. I'm projecting a deficit this year. We budgeted a deficit next year. We're using fund balance and reserves at an unsustainable rate. And again, it sort of paints the picture that you're going to have to buck up and do something dramatic. In this case, I've been telling the superintendent and the board members for the last 2 years that we're going to need to close a school building. And I'll sit here today and guarantee you that, within 2 years, we'll close a school building. So, I'm here to tell you that, at least in my opinion, that Cicero is in a similar place to what the county faced and what my school district is facing. And that, again, you need to address it. The earlier you address it, the better you address it, and be consistent over a number of years of how you address it. I think the better off you're going to be. And so with that said, I'll pass these charts around that sort of paint the picture of where the town is fiscally. This is just representation of the fund balances of the town over the as you can see, the ensuing years. And so I call your attention to the right part of the graph. And you can see that the trend in terms of available fund balances are going down. The actual fund balance in 2013 ended higher than the actual fund balance in 2012, and the reason for that is because we took out $500,000 of paving appropriations, and we created a strategy to put them back in as debt over time, and I'll explain that. And then you can see where we would have been had we done nothing with paving appropriations, and we left them in the budget. In 2013 we took out 500. In 2014 we took out 575, and then in this last budget they were zero. So we started in 2012 with $650,000 of budget appropriations in the paving line, and we took them out, and we took them out for a reason. The strategy at the time, and what I've been trying to get the board to buy into, is that, yeah, we're going to take out 650, but over a 10-year period, we're going to put these appropriations back in the budget in the form of debt service. So we take out 650 at the end of 10 years, if everything is done, correctly, you get 650 to 700,000 back in the budget. And as 1 year dropped off in a 10-year scenario, another year would come on, and you'd keep that debt consistent going forward. And the way you do that is, because there's going to be changes in interest rates, the way you do that is you modify the amount that you borrow each year. So you may not be able to pay in 1 year if rates go up, $600,000 of paving. You might only be able to afford $500,000. But to me, the laddering aspect of the plan was critical because it bought you time. Bought you time, in my mind, to raise taxes moderately over that period of time. You have a number of challenges ahead of you, a number of expenses that the board has to address, and the only way I see it working out is to raise taxes above the cap on a consistent basis going forward in a manner that's not onerous to the taxpayers, and quite frankly doesn't cause you political ill will. Again, depending on the appetite for taxes, is my plan the best plan, or could it be modified? Sure, you can put hard appropriations back into the budget if you're willing to raise taxes up to pay for them. But there's challenges ahead, and I'll discuss a couple of them. One is the police department, and the other is the highway garage and the debt service associated with that. But understand too that this is just the general funds, right? You have challenges in the special districts too. You're going to have to raise taxes in the special districts. I don't see a way to cut costs in the special districts, and there's going to be pressure in various subcategories of the special district budget to raise the appropriations there. And the only way to cover it is through increased taxes. So
One issue that I see in special districts is with sewer maintenance.
sure.
We just got the study a couple weeks ago from the county about the collecting system and all the problems associated that they found with collapsed pipes, with blocked pipes, with the collecting system for the Wharton treatment facility. So that total, and they had 4 priorities, that they wanted the town to address. The total of those 4 projects was $1.67 million, which obviously we can't do all at once. We're not even going to do anything this year except trying to develop a plan. But I foresee that next year. And so, our question was, well, how much on average should we raise, to do this over time? Because we've got to develop a 6-year plan. How much? So they said 10%. So I'm thinking that we have to raise that sewer line
10%.
110%. Well, not 10%. 10% of the 1.67 million.
Sure.
Or 167,000, maybe 150.
Okay.
Now, one of those projects is really skewed, where they show $400,000 worth of manhole maintenance and repair coverage. That's excessive. I just can't believe we're going to spend $400,000. And then in the other 3 projects, it's $25,000 or less. So that's one challenge that I see is raising that line by 150,000.
Right, and there's
And that doesn't address maintenance in the rest of the town.
Sure.
That's just poor.
right. So
You want to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I have a question for you, because one way or the other, we're going to be facing these challenges next year.
understood.
And when we take a look at the tax situation, we got a highway garage, and if we build the highway garage that it's beginning to shape up, that we're probably going to have to bond for. And if we have to, we're going to have to raise sewer taxes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Do we have to count them? I mean, do we have to count them in our overall tax increase?
Yeah.
Can I say, well, wait, this is a special district, so this doesn't count?
No, well, relative to the tax calculation, they're in. You have to
So we're gonna look at the whole ball.
But I'm just telling you, sitting here today, based on, you know, what I see the trends are, and the headwinds that you have coming your way, and the services that you're providing, I think you should just forget about the tax cap and focus on what is the amount that is acceptable to the board and to the residents that won't cause people to, you know, come here with, you know, tar and feathers.
Pitchforks and all that.
Right, you know, and again, so I have some political experience. I think, you know, double digits, you're going to get in trouble.
Right.
You know, I think something less, you know, 3, 4, 5% range is, you know, maybe a little bit more depending, I don't know, depending on the challenges and how you can sort of shape the argument, is probably, you know, in the ballpark, you know. And again, you have to take a multi-year approach, and you have to be disciplined about it in terms of, you know, what's coming into the budget and how you raise taxes. You know, so it really has to be, you know, a big picture look at things. And you know, year by year, the more you can raise taxes and not be onerous about it, and pay for the service that you have on right now, the better off you're going to be. Because politically, you know, if everyone gets cold feet and we get down to the 11th hour,
If I lose an election, I'm still gonna do the right thing.
right,
Doesn't matter.
and
So,
that was sort of my feeling, you know, when I did the Clay thing. You know, everyone told me, you're done. You know, you'll never be in politics again. Okay,
okay,
whatever.
South Carolina looks good. It's fine.
Okay, so that's my point, is that, yeah, I think it's, the sooner you address it, the better, and if you're consistent with addressing it over a number of years, I think you can get to a point, in my judgment, where the fund balance is stabilized and you have enough revenues to cover all the services that you're providing. So one of the services, and one of the, that you do provide, that the supervisors asked me to look at, is the police department. And again, so I've modeled it, and as you know, this is sort of the summary. And a model, you know, this is the model, and I can go through the model, and go through the model with the chief, and he can sort of propose it, but there's assumptions that you have to make. So I, you know, based on the hours that Shirley gave me for last year, I made assumptions as to part-time hours, made assumptions as to overtime, made assumptions as to, you know, SRO time, made assumptions as to shift differential time, and all that kind of stuff. I've moved people through the steps that were eligible to move through the steps, and then, you know, assumed a rate increase going forward. So the top block gives you what it would look like if the new contract got settled at 2% across the board. Okay. Again, it's a model, just bear that in mind. The actual costs you can see for 2013, the actual cost for 2014, that's sort of an anomaly because there was a retirement in that year, so it sort of jacked costs up. And that just happens. What my projection is for 2015, and then you can see going forward. And these are just payroll costs, okay? They don't include the cost for health or dental insurance, or any other, these are the costs that are driven by payroll. You know, workers' comp, disability, I didn't include those. So you can see what my projected increases would be and what the year-to-year increase on a percentage basis would be going out to 2018. The bottom part is same format, but assumes a 3% increase. And you can see what the increases would be in terms of total dollars and what the percentage increase would be year to year just for the payroll cost for the police department. And what I try to do for you is put it in perspective for you. And if we were living under a 2% tax cap, and again, I'm not recommending that we do in any way, shape, or form, and you apply the 2% just to the general fund levies, the A fund, the B fund, the DB fund, you can see where the levy sort of grows at a 2% clip out through 2018. And the dollar increases underneath that. So in 2016, if we took 2% on the current general funds levy, we'd get about 150, and you can see it growing out that. And then what this shows you is if you took the increased payroll costs that I forecast for the police department and subtracted it from what we could get under a 2% cap, what you would have left to fund everything else. That's funding the highway department, it's funding parks, that's funding everything. And so it's not very much. And again, my point is...
What am I looking at, the 20,000?
Yeah, so if you look at the bottom three
Here,
here,
yes,
right?
yes.
So if you increase the general fund levies, and again, that's the A fund, the B fund, the DB fund combined. If you raise it by 2%, it would go from 7,452,000 to 7,601,000, an increase of 149,000.
This is 2% across?
Right.
Okay, and this is
Right.
total?
Right, $149,000. So then what I said was, okay, if you go up above to the increase in the police payroll cost for that year, that $128,000 number, subtract that from the 149, you'd have $20,000 left under a cap scenario to fund everything else in town government and remain under the cap. So again, the point of all of this, and try to put it in perspective for you, is I don't think the cap is a good idea, and I just wouldn't even try to meet it. That was the one thing you wanted to be addressed. And the other thing addressed, and part of the headwinds coming up, is the need to replace.
Does anyone have any
Questions at that point? Yeah.
Do you have any questions about?
I can sit down.
Because-
Again, it's a projection. It's a model. It's an estimate.
We're close.
It's to give you an idea.
Actually, we're close.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think it's
Some of your rates are a little bit high, but we're close.
Okay. But
So
again,
your own figures, your
Well,
own projections are?
Based on a real budget,
Mhm,
not what I've had in the past,
mhm,
where you had to cut.
mhm.
This is based on the real budget that I would propose every year,
right.
and then it gets cut.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we're pretty close. I think his overtime's a little bit higher than what I projected.
Yeah, and you
He's
could be
going on
right.
past
We had,
experience.
well, we've had higher overtime because of a vacant.
And I'm not sure how it gets booked, if it's pure overtime or if there's
Some,
other
yeah.
stuff that gets booked to that line. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's the SRR time or the other time that.
And some of that's grant funded too, some of those
Yeah,
overtimes.
That shows in here?
That's in here.
Yeah.
This is just
Why
pure,
would that show in the
because it's
120
overtime.
OT? No,
It's overtime.
yeah, but not in that budget line.
Well, and again,
It's separated at the end of the year, there's journal entries that are done against it.
this could, again, we could spend probably a couple hours just debating this model, and I can walk you through it. And but again, I just want you to understand it's an estimate, and the town board made it clear that they want police coverage. So my only point is, that's great, but
But we gotta fund it.
be real and fund it.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. Again, these are just payroll costs. It doesn't include their operating costs and what they might need for vehicles or any of that
So
stuff.
Shirley, you're saying the grant money that's reimbursed back to the town is included in this cost?
General overtime,
Okay.
overtime in a whole.
So when you do your journal entries at the end, you combine everything into one?
I know, I separated at that point, but he's got an overtime with general overtime was, because that's how the payroll, ADP doesn't know whether it's grant or not, so this
Gotcha.
came off my AP.
Gotcha.
But you're talking maybe 12, 15,000 with grant funds, so it's not too far off.
That pays for overtime, sure.
Yeah, those,
Yeah,
yeah,
and then we get the SRO pay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no,
30,000 right there.
right, and shift differential time, and
Well, shift differentials.
no, I know, but
It's the overtime.
no, right, no, understood.
Yeah, okay.
And whatever
But we're
you
close.
pay
So
for.
these,
I wanted to try to be real here too.
these payroll percent increases, is this, what is that, 10%, the one?
So it's just the increase over the prior year. So in 2014, total payroll costs, including FICA and pension,
Okay, this was
was
a
up
10%.
150 over 2013, but in 2014, he had a retirement, so it skewed it, There's a lot of payouts when you have a retirement, and so it's an anomaly. So then this year, we're pretty much flat with 2014, at least what I'm thinking at the end of the day when you close the books where you'll be. And then going forward, it's just the percentage increase over the prior year.
Okay.
And some of the differences are, you know, guys moving in within steps and then hitting their step limit, and, you know, the new guy, there's a new guy coming on, I think, this year per contract.
And you do have to consider retirements too, because they're costly.
Yeah, and I didn't consider anybody retiring.
I know.
I just, whatever you have in there is what you have on the roster.
Mhm.
And that's projected out another 6 years
Yeah.
for the next one. Unless,
So,
Yeah. But these payroll costs that you've estimated include the step increases.
oh, sure,
right?
yep.
Okay.
It it's all in, step increases and then the pay increase on top of that. And moving guys step to step that are eligible to move step to step. There's sergeants and other guys that are already at the top step, and they just get a payroll increase.
And the steps are what drive that percentage at the bottom, Jess. Why it's different than the 2% and the 3% is because of the steps increases. He's
Mhm.
projected those in there.
Okay.
but it also includes the new position, too,
Yes.
which wasn't included in the budget for this year, so you've got a void year
Yeah, no,
where you're jumping one.
No. Understood. So the last thing then is, supervisor wanted me to do some projections, debt service projections on a new highway garage. And I forgot this one page. This one page, because this was a number that was thrown out, was the 9 million number. So, again, these are pretty standard amortization schedules that I stole from the county, that I used when I was there. But again, you're assuming a bond amount, first page, the loose page, of $9 million. The interest rate is what an A-rated municipality in New York pays today for a 30-year paper. It's 3.9%, so I used 4%, assumed the current rating for the town is A2.
Right.
So then you can see on the bottom what the average annual debt service would be if we built that building at $9 million. So again, this is $495,000 in debt service over 30 years that you would have to accommodate in the general fund budget. And given where you are on fund balances, again, I would just, I don't deny the need for this at all, but I would think long and hard and try to get that $9 million down as much as you can, and really consider the timing of when you put this on the books and project out how you're going to pay for it. So, the first page is 9 million, and then you go to the next page. I assumed 8 million. You can see that the average annual debt goes from 495 down to 440, and it goes along that. I assumed a $7.5 million garage, a $7 million garage, 6.5, and 6. So the difference between
How much room do you have in your garage?
we don't. No, we don't. Sorry. So, so between a $9 million
Your
building.
police department, your old police department?
Yeah, between a $9 million building and a $6 million building, the difference in debt service is about $170,000, $175,000 a year, which is significant. That's real money for this town, no doubt about it. So I would encourage you to make sure you have a really tight project and get the cost down, and really consider the timing of when you pull the trigger. So, again, that's my spiel, that's the big picture, again, where I see the town, where I see them going, and, what my strategy would be going forward. I think, paving is critical function of the town, so you have to continue to pave, and I think, at least I don't know of a better plan, but the laddering aspect of putting the appropriations back in to the budget over time, I think is critical, because, if you go too fast and you borrow too much and debt service comes in faster than what you wanted it to, the offset to that is higher taxes.
Yeah.
So you really have to be disciplined in how, the debt's layered for the paving program. You have to watch it carefully, you have to be disciplined about it, at least in my judgment. But again, if you guys decide there's an alternate plan where we're gonna not rely as much on debt service and we're gonna put hard appropriations back into the budget, it becomes a balancing act. You know, you can do different scenarios and see what the tax rate is and go from there. And if it's too high, then you can take some out and put it back into debt and do it that way. But again, it's a multi-year process in my judgment to sort of build the levy up to a rate where you can pay for all the services that you need to pay for. You have to be disciplined, and it's a multi-year approach. And again, I can get you some more information, but I looked at the town relative to their tax burden, you know, in relative to other towns in the county. You guys are middle of the pack. You know, with the police department, I would think you'd be in the top 3 or so. So, you know, at least in my judgment, relatively speaking, you got room to move on your taxes. So raising taxes above the levy, above the tax cap amount, I think is.
The only thing that concerns me is the governor on social, on the media, saying he wants to make this tax cap permanent.
It is going to, I think you should
And
do
then
that.
it would require, to listen to him, a supermajority vote, not just on the board, but I think you have to go to the public to raise the taxes.
I don't think in the municipality you do. School districts, no doubt, we have to get 60% of the vote to exceed the budget,
So
to
one of
exceed
the
the tax
things-
cap.
One of the things I think we should be prepared to do.
We get a lot more aid than you guys do.
What?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Can I just ask a question? Why do the school districts, voters vote on the school district budget and not here in the town?
It's just
Is that the way it's always been?
the way it's always been, I guess, for lack of a better description.
Okay.
And again, it's just the way government's been set up, you know. School districts sort of came in after the structure of towns and villages. And they just run by different laws.
How do we make this is $500,000
For a $9 million building,
for a
right?
$9 million building, $500,000
Right.
average for 30 years,
Yes,
right?
yes.
How do we make that palatable? I was trying to pick Shirley's brain here. You know, if we have 13,000 parcels, is it, you know, just kind of like a rough and quick average, you know, to divide 500,000 by 13,000 parcels, like that would be like the average cost per parcel? Is that?
Yeah.
I know
No,
people pay taxes on assessed value.
Right, no, if you're gonna go for a project, you know, you could, as your, I guess your marketing information, you'd wanna know all that, what the cost is per average taxpayer, how taxes are gonna go up.
You weren't far off, Jess. They did by assessed valuation for this year's.
Yeah.
Assessment was about $37 on a
Dollars.
$150,000
House.
$37 on a $150,000 house for 30
for
years.
30 years.
How much?
$37 a year on a $150,000 house, just for the debt for the garage.
How much is
$37 a year.
it?
On a $150,000 house.
For which, front 9 million?
37 and 48.
For the night, yes.
Assessed value.
So over
That's
30 years,
palatable.
it's about what,
Is that
1,100,
palatable?
1,100 something.
That's good.
Well, I think so. It just
And-
depends
But
on-
that's
That's for
on
the
top,
9 mil.
that's on top of the
That's for
budget
9
area.
million, yes.
That's for 9 million.
Yeah, that's for the.
We're not, we're
I'd like
gonna
to
be
see it
looking
in
at
6.
that.
Yeah.
Well, you
No, I
know,
understand.
we need to build, if we're gonna build, we need to build large enough space the
Sure.
first time around.
No,
Maybe we
no
don't
doubt.
furnish the whole thing,
No,
you know, because some of the equipment inside is expensive.
Right.
Maybe we don't furnish the whole thing, but Vern and I were talking about it. You build it, you know, to make sure that we can keep all of our equipment out of the weather. You know, so right now we're talking about a 70,000 square foot,
7,100.
71,000.
71,000. You know, so you build a building, but maybe not
Yeah, finish all the interior.
finish all the interior. And, you know, but it's still gonna cost, one way or another, it's still gonna cost. I mean, we're still gonna have to get the lifts and, you know, whatever other equipment that they need there.
Understood.
So, so if we're looking, okay, well, those are the big things that that I see right now is concern about, this particular contract which coming up and how much that's gonna cost, this building, and the sewers. What are the big things? Surely do we have coming?
Those are the three things.
Well, plus we have some vehicle replacement next year as well. Yeah, no, it's huge. It's gonna be a challenge. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Right. No doubt.
And I don't care who's sitting in the chair.
No,
It's gonna be an absolutely huge
I
challenge.
mean, to do it responsibly,
Right.
and to plan it out, I think we need to do this. I mean, the impact on the town.
You need to own it.
Sewers.
Would I
You
have,
have it, you need to own it.
Jessica, would I have your approval to talk to Jim about, before I talk to Mark, show him my proposals for the vehicle replacement?
I owe you a meeting on that. I don't know
Yeah.
we'll get together.
But I
Sure,
think if I
yes.
need some advice, let him look at it and get some feedback from him. 'Cause I've
Sure.
run all the numbers on different options.
Yeah. Were you talking about police vehicles or highway?
Police vehicles.
Both.
Oh, okay. I don't know off the top of my head what the.
The schedule calls for next week.
Yeah. We have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll look at that.
Absolutely.
And Jody?
Are we considering other departments' vehicle replacement or equipment replacement when you talk about that? Maybe we need to throw all those things your way if you're
Well, we
going
do.
to.
I think
We have a tractor that needs to be replaced, I know that.
I'd like to look at the aggregate and moving forward, I've talked to you about it, but we'll look at it as a, we'll come together, departments will come together.
I didn't know if you wanted to know, I don't know what his department or anyone else
Well,
needs of vehicles.
Richard's got some vehicle needs too, so
So if
we need to talk about vehicles.
If it makes a difference on the overall cost, maybe we should send you that information, that we've got a couple other items, that's
Well,
all.
we're gonna start this budget stuff pretty soon.
Sure.
So, yes, go ahead,
Okay.
and talk to him, about that. That's it, no more?
Again, this is just big,
No, that's-
just big
I
picture. I
appreciate
wanted to sort of, again, give you my big picture view, and, it's just gonna have to be methodical, disciplined, and can't be afraid to raise taxes.
You gotta stick to it, you gotta have discipline.
Right, and, and justify it, people want these services, so it costs money.
Mhm,
And we have to be responsible fiscally and not drain these funds.
mhm.
Shirley, question. Leasing vehicles, can you do it? I know we've done it 3 years. Can you do it 4 years?
Yeah, you can do them up to 6 years, I believe, some of the
Well,
leasings.
6 years. But I mean, okay.
The one time that we looked at leasing vehicles, though,
It's more costly than
it
doing
was
a
more
vehicle.
costly to
I think
lease.
I think you'll see the difference when I ran the numbers, and I think
Okay.
I want to show them to
Well,
Jim. But I think you'll see over the long term, it may be, but I want to show them to him and
Okay.
before I come back with a recommendation.
Okay.
One of the things, because we have the department heads here, one of the things that you've all heard me say moving forward is, I believe before we can ask anybody for any money, we've got to make sure that we are doing due diligence with the money that we have, because that's going to come. Are we wasting money, or are we thrifty with the money that we're spending?
Well, we put money back into the fund balance, for a
Right.
couple of years. Jim
Just
did
saying.
too, so, I don't think everyone
I
is
think,
trying
I
to be
think there's little or no
irresponsible.
waste in these departments,
Yeah.
believe me.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, and the spending is really hard,
Yeah, no, and again, my whole point is, it's not code red here, but you can see the headwinds coming.
Mhm.
And, it's prudent to get out in front of it.
Well, I'd rather have bad news as early as possible in order,
Right.
in order to plan, so.
Right. Right. Okay.
All right.
Jim, thank you. I
Anybody
appreciate
else?
it. We'll be talking more.
How do you do a plan, I know how to do a plan, but how do you get people to stick to it, the discipline part? When you have a revolving door every 2 years, how do you get that
Yeah.
mindset that this is what we're gonna do for the next 30 years, and then we need this is our goal.
Right.
You know, have it, own it, pay for it, but how do you do that when that door switches every 2 years? There's my
It becomes political.
yeah.
No, and that's the
Because to me,
That's
this is
the
a
reality.
political, I can separate, it's like a business to me.
I'm gonna take the politics out of it.
Well, they've said that before,
Well, we
so
say
I
that
just
all
want
the
to stick to
time.
it. I hope you can with some.
It's easy to say that, but it's hard to do.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, you get people screaming here, I don't want my taxes to go up. And when you look at their tax bill, their taxes went up $10 or something.
Yeah.
You know, so part of it is the boards need to get a little tougher. The boards need to become more familiar and not be swayed by public pressure. You know, because that's what happens. People come here and they jump up
And you know,
and that's always gonna happen.
right. But, you know, again, politically, and I have, you know, some standing to talk about it. The people that come here are just, they're not even on a radar screen in terms of,
Right,
you know.
to know what's going on.
Right, well, and just in terms of, you know, your political future, yeah, okay, maybe they won't vote for you, but there's a whole vast town out there that, you know, you shouldn't be focusing on this
Right.
small group, vocal group,
Right,
Mhm.
I agree.
you know? Let them speak because that's the way our system works, but
But make the right decision
make
in
the
the
right
end.
decision, right?
Well, yes, that's what we need to do.
You know, and again, if there's media pressure and everything else, then you gotta stick to your guns and say, we have services that we have to cover, we want to be fiscally responsible, and we're doing it in a disciplined, multi-year fashion so that we don't kill people, but we have to raise taxes.
Okay. You got anything else, Jim?
Couple things that I don't want to see happen on this, because we are talking of maybe getting 70 years out of this barn
Okay,
rather than 50 years. And I don't want to see us shortcutting anything that's going to deteriorate the length that the building is going to
no,
last.
no doubt.
Good
You know,
point.
and I think that's what we have to look at. Not cut a half inch of cement off the floor and so on and so forth. Now, yesterday down in Lafayette, they had all their siding powder coated, which is gonna give them another 20 years. So there's things that we have to look at when we figure this out that's gonna give us those extra years
Yes,
Maybe more
and not
expensive.
pay any more money.
no.
Maybe more
No, yeah.
expensive in the beginning
Yeah.
in order to get longevity of the building
No.
at the end. So we need to be very cognizant about that. Thanks, Vern, for making that point.
You know, that we don't want to shortcut it.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. I'll
No
be
problem.
talking to you some more.
Are you on vacation or something, you out of town?
No, I never take vacation.
All right.
Will you tell me
I'm
where
not
you
taking it
live
now either.
No, I am going on a conference Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
Oh,
That's,
oh.
All right, well, we will be in touch.
I have your number.
yes.
If I call you, please take my call.
Yes.
Give me your number.
Yep. Just as great, so. 3.5.
Good news, huh?
Yes, sir. I'm off, I'm out of town Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay.
No, it's fine.
Okay, no problem.
Well, we have no months,
Okay.
no months to pay for it.
That's right.
I'm good.